Guys, my name is Sagar and I'm the trainer for this batch. And I see a couple of participants been waiting for the demo class. So welcome all of you. So this is the demo class, introductory class for our upcoming automation batch, which consists of Python, Ansible, API, and Cisco Devnet. I've already covered one of the demo class yesterday. If in case you have not watched the recording, here is where you will get it. Okay, this is the video. So in this video, I started with some basic fundamentals. Okay, and we went through some topics like how do you deploy the automation kit, how do you decide the modules. Okay, so it was an introductory classes, and I'm not sure how many of you had attended and how many of you are attending for the second day now. So I'll just unmute you all for some time. You can let me know did you attend my last demo, and from automation point of view, what have you done, or what is your expectation from this batch? And yes, most importantly, do you have any prior knowledge on Python or Ansible or API? Why I ask all this question? Because it will help me to set a base. When I start the batch, I know that participants do not have a understanding of Python. So I start with going with that as a base. When I get to know that the audience already are aware of this, so I do not waste the time on what's not required. Okay, so every batch has some sort of audience when they know bit on automation already, but are looking for advanced thing. Sometimes the batch are completely from a mature point of view where everything needs to be started from the topic one. Okay, so we will go. This is by the way, this is from zero to hero batch, that is beginner to advanced level. So I will take it from very scratch. From day one itself, the topics would be from very scratch. So once you introduce yourself, your background, it will help me to understand the expectation. Okay, and then I from the next Saturday when the class commences, I will start with uh, that point. Okay, all right. So I'll unmute you all. There is a unmute button where you can yourself unmute and introduce yourself. So who's
Yeah,
going first?
this is Akif speaking.
Yes,
Okay, I
Akif.
have a network experience, and normally I'm working on MPLS technology and working in the NOC. So we are looking to automate some things like automate some reports. Like normally we spend a lot of time, like 1 hour in one report. So we are believing like if we will learn this Python and we can do some automation. So every hour after 1 hour, it will automatically take that report. So that's
Okay.
why I'm looking for this Python.
And do you have any prior knowledge on Python?
Sorry, sir.
Do you have any prior knowledge? Do you have any
No, sir.
hands-on on Python?
No idea
Okay.
about Python before.
Okay, no issues. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Akif.
Okay.
How about next? I can see Alok, Fanu, Karthik, Kiki.
Hi, Sagar. Karthik here. Um, so actually, I'm working for one of the SI. So I'm having before I have experience with Python. I'm doing little automation for configuration and report generation. Only for Python, not Ansible and APIs. So I want to know Ansible and know deep about Python and including APIs.
Okay. So apart from reporting, what else you did? And for reporting, what modules were you using?
I'm using NCC client. So we don't have all products could be same. So some may be Extreme, some may be Juniper, some may be Cisco. Some of the some of the devices Extreme, if you take those that won't support net config. So what I'm doing NetMiko package module to log in SSH and collect the fetch the input and making the report.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understood. Thanks, Karthik. So who is going next?
This is Afenu Ali. Hello, everybody. So I don't have any experience in Python or Ansible, that. So that's why I'm learning as the archive sake. So we are in our company, we're spending a lot of times for change requests, generating the ticket and those stuff. So that's why I want to learn the Python and Ansible and a little bit automations to make it save those time.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Kiki speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right,
Kiki.
cool. Yeah, just like the other guys have mentioned, I have some basic knowledge of Python. I've used it to create I was working on a project that required us to do some upgrades, and using NetMiko libraries, I was able to modify pre-existing Python scripts that I found on Stack Overflow and all that. But I want to learn just to, now I'm working for a different company that relies heavily on automation, and everyone seems to know what's going on except from me. So I would want to, increase my knowledge. I already have basic knowledge, but it would be nice to start from scratch again to just, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Kiki. So how many of participants from this batch have kind of zero idea about Python or Ansible or API? Never ever heard about these terms.
I have 0 for Ansible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Soma Reddy, Muzamil. Sorry,
Yes, I have zero knowledge of Ansible and in Python as well. So
Okay.
I'm just starting it from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Soma.
Yes.
I have zero knowledge too. I'm planning to learn automation recently because there is a lot going on in for the clients that I work, and they are all looking for automation in each and every aspect, like
Every
putting.
aspect, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I don't think without automation, I don't think we can survive as network security engineer in future. So I'm planning to learn.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. So guys, most of the answers are discussed in the last class, but I still feel that the audience are new today. So I'll just recap what I did and where this automation is used. Okay. So this is a very interesting topic. I need your input. Why automation? Okay. So when I hope all are from networking background, correct? Anyone without the networking experience or no CCNA? Okay, I assume everyone is network engineer because when they hear the term Python, even the web developer or software developer people join this demo, but then they realize that this is not meant for them. So let me clear, this is for network engineers. Okay, this is a network automation session. Okay, so why automation? So think from a network perspective. What would you like to automate? and what you usually do in your prediction that you want to get automated. Let's say if it's a day one for me as a network engineer, someone asked me to take a show IP int brief, and I may not know the command for, let's say, Juniper. I might know the show IP int brief for Cisco because that's one of the popular vendor. But if someone asked me to take a show IP int brief on Palo Alto CLI or Juniper, or go to F5 and give me the management IP, I may not remember these commands line, right? So with necessary scripts, you actually have the scripts with you, and you just trigger it and you get all the output generated. So in this case, what happens, you do not need to remember a lot of CLI commands. Okay, so let's say I am fetching something. Fetching of output is a simplest job now. Let's assume that I'm in a shift. I get a P1 call, and in the call, someone says that this site, let's say site India, connecting to site New York, is down. Okay, just an example, frequently happening scenarios. What would, as a day one or day two engineer, when I'm not sure where is the inventory, which router to log in, what would be the command, how would I troubleshoot something, right? So just assume that if there was a necessary scripts done by someone, and if you would have told me just run the script, it will give you an report. And once you open that report, you're gonna get to know that this is the ISP that got flagged, and the BGP neighbor, peer neighbor is so and so. You can also get from the description what circuit ID it is. Okay, if it is AT&T 1 MB or 2 MB or 10 MB, and what is the circuit line defined within, and whom do you contact in case of such failure. So you will go appropriately on that particular link, raise a ticket, log a ticket, and you're done your job, right? You don't need to spend time on searching for something. You have the script, you execute, you get the report in Excel anyone can open, doesn't need a expertise there to open an Excel sheet, and you do the needful thing. Similar way, let's say you have a iOS upgradation, again very frequently happening in enterprises. You have 4500, you got 9300 series, you got 2950, you got this ISR routers or ASR routers, or you got the Nexus device. Okay, so what happens during the upgradation process? It's a lengthy process. You initially start with the copying of those iOS files to the flash or the disk memory of the Cisco vendor or any vendor, let's say the networking box or networking device. How do you copy from your laptop to the directory? Using some SCP, file transfer protocol, SCP, TFTP, SFTP, right? FTP. One of the protocol you use to copy from your local machine to the flash memory of the box. Later on, what you do, you go and go to the configuration terminal. You will set the boot variables. You will change the config register, right? You will do a write mem. You will take the pre-checks. There would be 15 to 20 commands that you need to take the backup before you get into the reload state. Once that is done, then you go with the reload state. And as soon as after a couple of minutes, let's say 20 minutes, when the device comes back, you need to validate now. You will see that if the new loaded up version is that latest version, or the upgrade went well or not. If it is a latest version, then you will also collect the post check. Now what you do, this post check, with this pre-check, you would like to make a diff check. I hope you know what is diff check reports and what does that mean. Basically, you're comparing pre and post and make a conclusion if all the protocols are converged, all the interfaces which used to be initially in a up and up status are still up, or something got flapped and went to some line protocol issues, or there is any error guard issues happen due to the STP. There could be anything that can happen after the reload scenario. Sometimes what happens, the latest operating system or the iOS file, due to some of the compatibility issues, some of the features might get turned off. Might be you get a call from some NOC team saying that all the access points are down. Did you do any change window, right? So apart from the troubleshooting which comes later on, if you have to simplify this job, okay, this tedious job, you can write a script for them. A single script, you just have to make sure that you are triggering the script on a right device IP. Okay, the selected IP is good. And once you execute this, the whole process happens step by step. And at the end, you get a diff check report as well, with a color difference kind of report. You can just check what got changed, what is good, and confirm back in the same call that the change is done, everything is good, we are good with the closure. So there are two things here. One is to make the job simplified. Second thing, to reduce the error. Okay, reduce any sort of error that happens while you go through this process, upgradation process. Okay, then let's say config management. Again, this is frequently happening scenarios in enterprise. You are given a maintenance window. You would be assigned to carry out 3 change window on a single day, weekends. Might be the first change is related to some ACL updates. The second is to create some VPN. The third one is to create some network network for subnet, or let's say you want to create a new network. Okay, so every change window would have a time allotted. Might be this has 60 minutes, 60 minutes, 60 minutes. So if you think from manual point of view, let's say in this change, you had couple of devices. It will not matter what are you gonna copy on them, because at the end, the same copy has to be copied on all the 3 devices. A identical configuration has to be copied on all the 3 devices. The issues happens when you have a scenario like VPN, because in VPN, what happens? One device will have its own configuration like peer IP and all that factor. The second router will have its own parameters. You cannot do a error in the copy paste. Same goes with the network subnet. On the subnet creation, you have to create gateway on the L3 device. You have to create all the ACLs and all rest of the things on the L2 devices. If there is a firewall, then you have to allow the policy. What happens if by mistake you copy that L3 config on L2 and L2 to the L3? Your network will not come up. So this is also referred as human error. And this happens most of the time in the maintenance window. You just copy paste a wrong configuration to another box, and later on you spend time to isolate the issue, and all your rest of the changes, the second change and third change, is unable to be performed due to the time lag. Okay, so two things here, two takes from here. One is you can prepare your scripts to do the configuration change, and this will also help you to isolate or get from this human error that we normally do. Okay, so we have covered fetch scenario. We have covered a troubleshooting scenario, iOS upgradation, configuration point of view. Now, let's say what else we can think about. Let's say reporting point of view. Okay. I get a ticket, or I get some customer who wants who wants a report in a Excel formatting. Okay. And that report must show all the devices that they have signed us for to manage their device, what iOS they are running, when was the last reload happened on the device, and what is the reason for that reload, and what is the current CPU utilization going on a percentage basis, and what is the storage utilization going across. Okay. And number of devices are 500. We definitely cannot log into each box and take them. Yes, we used to do, because I remember I did it 8 years back, the similar project. We had more than 2000 device when automation was not so popular. We had to log in. When we log into our shifts, we had been assigned 200 to 300 devices per day. We used to log in, do the manual copy paste on an Excel sheet, or take the putty session as a backup, then transfer some data from there, and we used to create the Excel. So it used to take easy 3 to 6 months. When engineer shift by shift log in and start working, they might get their own P1 calls or some change management, etc., etc. Right? They are not only assigned to do some reports. So this used to take lot of time, lot of efforts, manual efforts. There is a possibility someone copy paste a wrong detail. So why to do the manual stuff in 2022, right? So nowadays you have a lot of programming scope. So you can run a script, Python script. Okay. You can create an Excel. This Excel will get created automatically as soon as you execute the script, and all the details go in a column by column. So you have all the device IPs listed up. You will have a separate column for the serial key. You're gonna have a separate column for the CPO percentage. And this Excel is a completed Excel, which you can just email to the customer directly without much filters and all those things. So to perform this task in the curriculum, we will go with the regex. So whenever it's time, whenever I will show you this audit report, I'll bring up this concept called regex. It's called as regular expression. Okay, so this is used highly nowadays to make such sort of reporting task. Okay, and rest of the things, the scope, your day-to-day activities like the configuration, a patch, or performance reports, network analysis, inventory. These are all something which you can use a script. Okay. So did I miss anything apart from this? So are you good with the things that we covered so far?
I have one question.
Yes.
That iOS devices, the TAC access. So when you do automation, you got to put in for security the authentication. How do you get around it? Maybe there is a way, or how do you manage that with automation?
So
Each iOS device, when you access, there is authentication, right?
Okay, so you mean to say when you take a SSH,
the
to
TAC
any
access, I don't know if you heard of it. We have we
Yeah, so
have this secure access. So
yeah, so you mean to say when you take a SSH to any box, you have to give the username and password, and this is happening over TechAS or Radial server.
yeah, so how do you make it work with the TAC access? That's the question.
Yeah, so there are components available for that. So you can store that credentials, or you can go with the Python function, which can let you to input the password on a real time, or you can store the credentials somewhere and read from that. And the
Okay.
device will consider those data for login purpose.
Okay.
So, Sagar, one more question. Like, let's say we have MFA to log into each device, that would make it difficult, right?
Uh, you mean say individual credentials for each devices?
No. I was saying like MFA. Like, let's say we use TAGAX credentials to log in, but
Hmm.
let's say we also get, like, whenever we try to log into the device, we get a pop-up on our mobile so that we need to approve it before we can log into it. It's like MFA, multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, so
Mm.
you can also enable that feature in the script.
Okay.
Okay, it's just about enabling whatever features you want to do it. So this password you will set either in a input method, or you can store it, and similar way you can also enable this feature.
Okay.
So any questions, guys, so far? Are we good so far? Where is this automation used and in what scenario?
Like the scripts is dependent on the vendors also. Like if we are having different vendors in our NOC, we have
Yeah,
different.
it will depend on that, but not to a very high extent. So let's say if you have a script written for Cisco vendor, and it's the same script you're expecting to use it for, let's say, Junos or something. Okay. So by just 2 to 5% of necessary change, you can bring the Junos version. Okay. So one would be on the CLI part. The command line from Cisco to Junos will differ. And one would be from the device type. You have to define your device type. So this too is sufficient. Rest of the lines will form as a generic for both. Generic line for both the vendor.
So it's like an open source language, right?
Uh, yes, Python is a open source.
I think it is having very wide range of like categories or other things like. So like how we can like specify like this categories is related to this, and we have to focus on this. There are so many different things. Like I think like if we need to run some like uh, a script for like only for SSH. So even for this, we are having like 5 to 6 different types. Like we can do SSH with different type of scripts. So which one is the best, and for which we have to go like that?
No, you mean to say features of a device or what? What
No, for
exactly?
example, we have to do SSH,
Okay.
okay, to our device. So there are so many categories. Like we can do SSH like with 5 to 10 different scripts, right? Or
Um,
there is only one scripts like actually, because I'm telling you, I'm not like much aware about this Python, so that's why like but
see,
some of my
I
yeah.
friend
think,
told
can
me
I
that this
jump
is
in?
open source and it is having very wide variety of categories, and if we want to do this SSH, even for this SSH, there are like you can follow different type of scripts.
Okay. No, that okay. You got some
Yeah, it
things
just
on that.
depends on the libraries. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
It just
exactly. This library,
Yeah.
this he was
So
telling me this library. So which library we will follow? Like there are so many libraries, right?
it depends
so
on what you it depends on me. I'm sorry, Sagar. I'm sure you probably can answer this, but just from my experience, I've tried using Paramiko, NetMiko, Tenant Library, and I just prefer personal preference. I prefer NetMiko, and that's what I've been using. So I think
Yeah.
it's just a matter of preference. You can SSH using any of those different libraries. You just need
Yeah.
to, work with the different libraries and see which one you prefer. That's it. I don't think there's the best or this. I mean, it's just preference.
Yeah. So just to add also, Akif, last class, that is yesterday's demo, we discussed the same topic, like how to prefer the module, what module to be preferred, and on what factors we need to select what module should be. So I had given some. See, this was where we decided if it was 10 device Cisco only, then what module we would go with. If it is 150 device, and we had multi vendors like F5, Palo, Dell, Huawei, Windows machine, and the expectation is take a show command, file transfer, then what would we go with? And if we had 5,000 devices and only Cisco and F5, then which module would you go with? Okay. And all the modules we had discussed, and I showed one script also to do the speed test between Nornier and NetMiko. Then I concluded by giving 3 examples. So this is a good watch for you. Okay, so you better watch this demo where we discussed about the module and on what factors we decide which module to go with. They all does the SSH for us, but which one to be going with it for even SSH? Okay, not all modules are of the same behavior. They differs. So this video I'll put in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you.
So after some 55 minutes, okay, so we discussed about what tools and all those things. So it was around in the 1 hour or
Right.
yeah, somewhere from here, the last 25 to 30%, where we discussed about each module, and we did a live demo in the class as well. We did check the speed test, how much time it take to execute over a 10 device for 10 CLI command. We collected the average time. Okay. And then we put a conclusion that if this is 10 device, then what would be the best? If it is 150 device, then what would be the best? And if it is 5,000, then what would be the best? Okay. So this is for everyone. If you missed yesterday's demo, then that is the good watch. But let me just recap a summary in 2 minutes. We have multiple modules for SSH, Paramiko, NetMiko, PyNTC, NEPAM, Nornia. Okay. And these are all SSH capable. But let me also tell you one other hidden fact about it. Is this module which is actually capable of SSH, Paramiko. The rest of them, what they do is they have internal dependency on this module. So when you, let's say, want to go with PyNTC, so PyNTC internally will install Paramiko. So if you have NEPAM or you have Nornet, they all relies on Paramiko module. It automatically get installed. And this is the module, Paramiko, which will take the SSH to the devices, whatever device it. Okay. But apart from SSH as well, we have lot of functionality from the networking side, right? Might be we have to do a file transfer. We do touch lot of vendors. So 30 plus of vendors, multi-vendors. We might have to take the fetch output or configurations, right? So many things. Might be Paramiko is not a good solution for us in that scenario. So that is why I cannot just go with Paramiko, because that provides me SSH. There are better option as well. I can go with NetMiko. It supports multi-vendor and all that. But internally, if it takes Paramiko, it's not my concern. I just need my script to SSH to the device and fetch me what I need from that, right? So NetMiko is the best option now. It does all the job for me, and internally, whatever it wants, it is downloading itself and giving us the output. Okay. So on what factor we decide, etc., you watch that recording, you will understand the flow. Okay, so guys, we will continue. This was the scope from automation point of view. So there are 3 best ways to automate. One, definitely by using Python as a programming language. We have a configuration management tool called as Ansible. And third method is called API. Okay, so here there would be 2, which is called a REST API and XML API. Now Python needs module or library for taking up all the SSH connectivity. Okay, this is important. So Python supports both. If you have vendors like the access layer devices, which works on SSH protocol, then you can leverage on the module which supports SSH. But then if you have devices from the distribution layer or core layer, which supports HTTP or browsers, the GUI interfaces, in that case, you can also leverage on module which can work on API. So ultimately, Python can support both SSH and API. Depends on your target device. What are you trying to automate? Okay. Same goes with Ansible. It also supports both. For SSH, it consider Paramiko module. And if in case you deal with the target devices like Palo Alto, F5 LTM, Windows, or any other dashboard based, HTTP based, then it has API. And when we have the API method left, then we think about whether REST API or XML API. So the difference is REST API will make use of JSON format, which is considered to be more human readable format. And XML on the other side is using XML encoders. It's a bit complicated, but some vendors only rely on the XML. For example, F5 LTMs, okay, they rely over XML, whereas JSON, the vendors like Palo Alto accept all the REST API calls. Or if you have a Nexus device, Cisco Nexus or Cisco XC XR, so they support REST APIs as well. So again, it's up to your target device, what your target device is capable of. They see, normally what are the usual medium that your device respond over onto. So one is SSH. Forget about telnet, they carry the plain text, so we will not consider. SSH, you got SNMP. Again, this is a UDP packet. I don't want to do any configuration or any confidential thing over on SNMP protocol. So what other thing is left? There is a HTTP protocol as well. Okay. How would we automate? We know that there is a automation that Python support SSH and API. Ansible also support SSH API. And if you have the vendors which are graphical based, Palo Alto dashboard, F5 dashboard, SDWAN dashboard, ACI dashboard, Meraki dashboard, Correct. So these are all dashboard based. So for that, you have API methods. You can automate, configure, fetch the report using API as well. Okay. So these are widely used protocol these days, SSH and STTP. Okay. So this is TCP 22. This is TCP 80. So any doubt in this slide?
No, sir, it's okay. But actually, sir, there is no any need for any prerequisite for this Python. Like we need to have any programming background.
Okay, coming to that, coming from the course point of view, there is no prerequisite required because I also told in the last class that we start initially with the Python theory itself. Okay, the first few classes we are going to cover the Python theory.
And one thing regarding the programming, like even for a simple the target, like if we want to do this SSH, like sometime we are having if like 50 devices, so it will be a very big long or big script, right?
That is a myth. That is a myth.
That we have to do, right?
Yes, so that is why we are cutting down the our manual effort, right? Okay.
Well, at least once we have to do that effort, right? And then like we will take the advantage of this
See,
programming,
I'll
right?
tell you. You have one device or 10 device or 1,000 device. This might look different when you do in a manual manner because one device might take your 10 minutes, 10 device might take 1 hour, 1,000 device will take a month. But from automation point of view, it will treat all this as only one single scope because the automation script doesn't need a manual effort. You just write a script, execute over on 1,000 devices. It will do the job in the backend and we will have our output received. So for automation script, it's just a process. That's all, nothing else. And to prepare that as well, we don't need to follow any major critical task or something. Just open a notepad, a simple notepad, wherever you store your inventory, take all the management and put them line by line. Just copy paste all the device, list of device. Let's say in the class, I do it. Let me log into my RDP. Give me a second. So what I do is I keep all the IPs in one notepad, which you also might have your own inventory in your production. You just take the IPs and keep in a notepad. See, something like this. Okay. So once you keep that in a notepad, prepare a script of 10 lines and say refer to this notepad. Let the Python script know that all IPs are stored here and then the job will start. You will see the magic then. It will do its job, whatever you've been asked to do it. You want to configure, show, copy something, it will do the job. Okay, just 10 lines are sufficient. You don't need to write 100 lines because you had 1,000 device or something. Okay, that is why we cover Python theory first before we start with any script. Because when I show the Python theory, there are concept of for loops, which do the magic here. Iteration process. It's also called as iterations.
Okay, the last very basic questions like I think it's a very slow language, right? Like
It's not, no, it's not slow. Again, that's a myth.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, and like we will export it into one package. Like we can run this package on a system where we need not to install the Python, right?
Okay, I'll come to that. Let me first clear that myth which you say that it is slow. So I have these many devices. So roughly 8 to 9 devices. Okay. And this is the change that I am gonna be performing. Let's say this one. So tell me from your manual efforts, how much time do you think is required to log into these 10 device? And if you're even copy pasting this part, you have to go to config T, or if there is enable
Exactly.
secret, how much time it will take roughly from your networking experience?
Yeah, it depends. Like it can take like 10 to 15 minutes.
It will take much more than that, because when you try to SSH, you might hit a wrong password. It will reattempt, and things will go out of flow, right? Sometimes. So let's keep
Okay.
30 minutes. Okay. For 10 devices, you're logging, you're making some mistakes, you're copy paste, you're doing on a user privilege, then you go with that DNS resolution, then you go to config. You know, right? Sometimes we, out of curiosity, this one, the pressurized scenario, we sometimes copy paste in the user privilege itself. Then we
Mhm.
wait for that to resolve. Then we go configuration T, then we so let's say 30 minutes it needs for this small task. But if I have a script one time written with some 5 to 6 lines, okay, I'll just execute this script. Job is done. It took 6 seconds. Do you see that timer here? 6 seconds.
Yeah.
See, so that's also a myth that it's slow. It did the job on all the devices. See, we have all the output on our screen on 8 device or 10 device. It configured, it took the show commands. It took only 6 seconds for us, right? So if you add 1,000 devices, it might take another 2 to 5 or 10 minutes extra, but not the manual effort at least.
Exactly. Right.
Okay, and what is your the third question you told?
Like we can export to some package, right? And we can install it on somewhere like where we will not install this Python language, Python software.
Okay, now that question also was answered in the last class. That is basically the deployment process.
Yes.
There are 4 methods to deploy this package. Okay, give us a second. So these are the 4 deployment process which starts at 37 minutes. Okay, so I'll just recap again. That is one myth that you have. Okay, the reason why Python, Ansible, or API are popular, because these are considered as agentless. What is meaning of agentless?
Yeah, you don't need some thin client on the end devices, something like that.
Yes. Okay. So let's say you got a new contract signed with a customer, and they are paying you, so you can automate their configuration management and all other rest of automation. Okay. You can do it by keeping all the required softwares on your side, all your software like Python, its library. Okay, what you just need the connectivity on those devices over on SSH protocol. That they of course have to give you either by adding to the radius or some VPN connectivity. They have to give it. Otherwise, you cannot log in to the devices, right? So if you have SSH connectivity, you can have all the files on your side itself. You don't need to even install a single percent of any add-ons on any of the device to run the automation. Okay, that is why Python, Ansible are the most popular one, because they are agentless. Most of customers are happy to go with this. But yes, there are agent based as well. There are programming tools like Puppet, Chef, which needs the agents on the devices. Okay, let's say my customer has a paid version with Puppet or Chef, so they might have already added some agents are nothing but the extensions or plugin. These are usually like in KBs, 10 KB file, which you need to download and put in the directory. So this is to be done on all of them. Again, this goes with the customer consent as well. Otherwise, you cannot do that. But if he is happy or he has paid for it, and in that case, you will keep all the tools server on your side. There will be sync going on between these two, and that's why you see these are less popular. There are less number of customer who wants to add some add-ons on their devices. They think that this can be a backdoor or a vulnerable scenario. We never know what that agent is sending data back to someone. Might be that is sending all my confidential data. So why should I allow a third-party agent to be installed on my devices? I will prefer going with these tools. They only need SSH capability that I have to give to the service level companies, whoever is handling it. Okay. So does this answer your question, Akif?
Yes, sir. Very well. Thank you.
Okay. So guys, let me quickly go through this agenda. So we would be starting the batch from next Saturday. It's a morning batch. We keep it 8:30 a.m. in India hours, which works the most for a lot of other time zones. And this is the course curriculum. We have starting from module 1 to module 20. The module 20 is specifically for you guys to prepare writing the code yourself. So end of the batch, the expectation is you start writing your own script, because when you sit on my class, when you sit in the class, it will look all very seamless, or it will look very simple, very easy to write. But when you need to write it on your own, you will face the issues. So I would be giving you assignments or project saying that this is the requirement. Work on the script writing. You will decide what is best way to do it. The automation always has more than 2 to 3 ways of doing it. Okay, there is no only one standard way of doing a automation script. There could be always 2 to 3 types. You feel free to use either of them, but get the working solution. Okay. And we start with this topic first. This is called Python theory. So we will start with what is the basic fundamentals here in Python, because most of you guys are not familiar with Python, or this is your first time you're attending a Python or automation bootcamp. So we will first understand what is Python from the theory point of view. And then we will start with our first network library, NetMiko. Okay. So in this NetMiko library, we will touch almost all the scenario that we had mentioned in the beginning of the class, like iOS upgradation or configuration, fetch, Excel preparations, multi-vendors, SNMP polling, almost all the tasks that normally you do in the networking side. So after this module completion, we get into another module. So let's say we might go into Nornia, then we get into NEPAM, then we get into sub-process. Okay. There are lot of different modules available, Paramiko, PyNTC. Once you are familiar with Python library, then we get into Ansible configuration management. So that is 7, 8, and 9, which also covers very good topic from Ansible Galaxy, for Palo Alto, for FILTM, for Slack integrations, Ansible Vault, Ansible Jinja, Ansible ad hocs, almost all the important topics. Okay. Recently, even I started showing the Ansible Tower as a bonus topic in this module for Ansible. Once Ansible is done, then we get into the API topics. Again, for API, I'll consider the vendors like Palo Alto, SD-WAN, ACI, FILTM. So you will see three aspects of automating your network devices. One from Python, then Ansible, then API. And finally, to test the certification, we will go with the Cisco Devnet curriculum. Okay, because what happens, some people to get the enough time approved from your employer, they ask you which certification are you preparing for, or some employer nowadays has made it mandatory for their network engineers to get done with the DevNet certificate. So we have also included this curriculum, which is Cisco DevNet 20901. Here is the portion, syllabus portion for it. It's like your CCNA routing, switching, or security if you have ever attempted them. Multi-question answer format. There will be a question, 4 answers, you select. Okay, so some similar pattern of it. This portion covers more on API, the software development method, Git, version controls, CI/CD pipeline, okay, and other aspects here. Network fundamental, basic network fundamental, which you already would be aware of it because you all are 5+ or 3+ experience. So these are just the basics, like what is MAC address, what is IP address, and basic things. So this is how the 4 modules are placed. First, we start with Python theory and Python library, go to Ansible, then we go to API, REST API and XML both would be covered. Then we go to the DevNet program. So altogether, it takes 1.5 to 2 months. This is going to be Saturday, Sunday batch, weekend batch. We also have a weekday batch starting in another 1 or 2 weeks. It would be Monday to Thursday. Let me put down. So we have 2 batches. You can decide what is best for you. So there won't be any different demo for that. So for weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday, it's 8:30 morning in India. And if you need the weekdays, then you can prefer going with Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 p.m. India evening. Okay, I keep it 1 hour because that sometimes is a working hour for some people, or some people cannot manage more than 1 hour. So it would be 1 hour. Whereas the weekend batch, I'm planning to keep it for a 3-hour session. Okay, so this would be a 3-hour session with the break of 15 minutes in between. So we get 6 hours here, 3 plus 3. If you exclude that 15 plus 15, then might be we have 5 hours and 30 minutes per week. And if you go with weekdays, that also easily go up to 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so almost the same. Completion time is same for both. Take 1.5 to 2 months. We cover all the topic in both the batches. You will decide what is best for you. Some people might take initially weekend but start missing out the class. You can also attend weekdays batch, or vice versa. You took the weekdays but you started missing out, you want the class, you can attend the weekend batch. Okay, because the curriculum will be going on hand by hand. So it's your choice what you want and how you want to manage it. So any question?
Can you share the lab access? How can you show us
Okay.
how you access the lab?
Regarding the lab, say for example, even right now I am also in the RDP session. So you guys will get access to this lab. I'll show you the process of logging. So there would be a URL. You will have your own login process, sign in credentials. Oh, sorry. I think I logged into Palo Alto lab. Let me show you the automation lab. So this is how the labs would look like. Our lab will have ASA, Arista, Junos VXRS, Cisco routers, and Cisco switch. But always we see in the batch, there are people who might come from a different vendor expectation, like they need Palo, they need FI, LTM, they need any other vendors. So we also allow that. Okay, what we will do is we get the requirement from them, from the enrolled student, and from the backend we will deploy those node. So if you need Palo Alto, we will put that instance. If you need F5, then we will also put that. You need FortiGate, we will put that. You want checkpoint, we can place that. So that is from your expectation. But someone who is not bothered about the target device, for him Cisco is more than sufficient, then this is the lab you would be using it for.
Do we need any client VPN software on our laptop?
No. Yes, laptop is required. Okay, let me say what is required. You need internet, good internet, and laptop. Your laptop, even if it is 4 GB RAM, is good. That doesn't mean that you need to have 32 GB RAM or something, because we are providing our remote lab. So the load is on our side. You just need laptop because you need to open that browser, and on that browser you will hit our IP, like let's say rack.networkjourney.com. This is where the lab is hosted. And from our side, all the utilization happens on our side, nothing on your laptop.
We need to run the Python on our laptop, right? Python runtime is...
You will log into our lab, and from there you will initiate the Python.
So in this, where is that Python runtime installed in this lab?
It is installed. It is installed within the RDP. See, this is my RDP. This is the RDP. So here is all the runtime, Python script and all this. Okay. That is why I say, you, even if you have a basic laptop, you can still use our lab, because all the load is on our side. But let's say, for instance, you wanted home lab setup, right? Because some people have a good laptop with 32 GB. They want to practice the lab even after the course completion. So they go with the home lab setup. In this case, we will provide you the ready-made lab files with all the images and all the necessary software. So in that case, your Python and all the target devices are on your machine itself. Okay, but you have to bear the utilization in that scenario.
Just one
any other charges for the home lab?
No. It is included in the package.
Can we use Python on our laptop and then connect to the lab over internet, rather than using the Python machine in the lab itself, which using Python from our laptop might make it easier for us to execute the programs, right?
How would you access our device IP? Because our device IP are on our VM, right? Virtual environment, right?
Okay, so that does not have any internet. It's not exposed to the internet.
No. Why our devices? Why would be exposed to internet? Anyone can use it then, right?
No, I was thinking more in terms of Devnet or Juniper Labs, right? Devnet, Cisco Devnet.
Yeah, so Cisco Devnet, how many vendors you have? You have only XR and XE. What about if you want to do on Junos and Palo Alto? You're getting it, right? This is only for a limited reason only. Like if you want to do SD-WAN, Cisco SD-WAN, then you go to the Devnet sandbox and you can use it. But when you try to automate, you always prefer doing it on a multi-vendors, right? So see, if you are only targeting some specific vendor, then sandbox is available. You can install Python in your side and use the public IP there. But again, that's very limited scope you can do it. You cannot do much thing. These are publicly available. You might do at the most configuration or some fetch. You cannot do the upgradation. You may not be able to enable SCP transfer, right? This is just a limited scope here.
Thank you. Yeah, got it.
All right. So guys, any further questions? So can I quickly ask some random questions just to see where you stand?
One quick clarification on the 16 about 32 gigabyte RAM. That's
Okay.
only if we want to do everything on the laptop, right?
Yes,
if you're
that's
using
right.
the lab, you don't need. I have a 16 gigabyte. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, 16 and 32 when you do your lab, but if you have less than 8 or 4, then to go with the remote lab that we provide. You get a 3 month of lab included with the package. Okay. And home lab, see, people have the option of going with both. People can go with only home lab if they are very much sure that they want only home, or if you know that it doesn't support, then you can go with remote lab. So we have all the flexibility. 1, 2, 3 is that you go with both the option. Some people have 32 GB plus they want to use the remote lab. Okay, so 16 is still okay because you can just power on few nodes, and even if you consider 8 to 10 GB for your normal operations of operating system, in plus 2 to 3 node, let's say even if each one take 512 MB, so 2 to 3 GB for your target devices. You might be running some other clients like Pycharm or Notepad or some other things that's going on. So altogether 16 GB is still better. Okay, but this 2 to 3 GB when you only have the basic iOS devices. If you think about Palo Alto or F5, then each instance will take 8 GB. This might take 6 GB, F5 take 8 GB, FTD takes 8 GB. So definitely 16 will have a shortage.
Okay.
Okay. So it depends your requirement, and I would suggest 32, or as I told you, you will ask us to put FTD, we will host it on our server. You ask us to put Palo Alto, we will give you the access to that, and you can automate. Okay, so guys, quick question just to see where do you stand. So Alok, home lab is lifetime accessible. The remote lab, as I told you, three months it's included in the package. Okay. So do you guys see my screen? Do you guys see my screen? What
Yes,
is this?
yes,
What
sir.
is this application?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Okay. So what is this application if ever you try used it?
Pycharm.
Yes, it's called Pycharm. Okay. Why would we use Pycharm, or what are the alternatives for Pycharm? Do you know any alternatives for this software, and why do we use this?
It's a Python IDE.
Yes, it is a Python IDE, but what is IDE?
Integrated Development Environment.
And why do we need this?
Yeah, it helps in our Python coding with color coding, context-based help, debugging, a bit of debugging.
Okay.
Helps in debugging all this.
Yeah. So I'm writing them all under Y. This will help me to write my Python script. I can debug the code. I can compile the script. Compile in the sense, if I have 2 or 3 dependency, I write it in a single workspace. I see if it's working. Okay. I can also do the dry testing. Dry test in the sense, I write a Python script and it will instantly poke me if there is any issue found. Okay. Until if there is no issue, it will not poke me. But if there is issue, it will start showing me that there is an issue on your script on line number so and so. That is why we need a professional ID. If we don't have ID, we still have a workaround. We can go with a simple notepad plus subline, but they may not have these simple test or simple auto pop-up, etc. Okay. Also, you can expect some more features here, like this supports auto pop-up, auto, or let's say error detection. Let's say, what else? I mean, whatever you write, they get stored in the cache. So basically, even if your machine gets restarted, you do not need to worry. It is safe in that Pycharm. It supports multiple libraries. You can have lot of library installed on these IDs, and you can run, you can debug. Okay. Also, another important thing, the professional ID supports or can be integrated with your GitHub. Have you heard about GitHub account? Do you know what is GitHub?
It's a versioning control tool.
Yeah, it's a version control plus where it is located.
Cloud.
Yeah, it is a cloud. It is a cloud facing. Okay, anyone can have the access to the repository, and since you're writing your script, it's really nice, right? That you have one single button. You just click on that, and your script is on the cloud GitHub, and that is being accessed by lot of your team members. Okay, software network engineers or all that. It's a cloud version GitHub. So all that features a good ID is expected to have. What are alternatives now? Yeah, anyone know any alternatives for Pycharm?
Studio or something.
Yeah, my Microsoft Visual Studio. Sorry.
Yeah, I was Atom.
Yes, Atom, Eclipse. What else? Okay, I can say that there are 100 many others or 100 more. Okay, so you will. This is now up to your choice. What you want. Some people go with this, some go with this. Your company might provide this, so you do use whatever is needed. They are all an example for a good ID. We ultimately need a good ID. Okay, some of them might have a paid version. They may not have a free version, so in that case, don't go with them. Whereas to my knowledge, Pycharm has both free and paid version. With free version itself, you can do 100% of your network automation. So why to go with some other and then start receiving those annoying message of license and pay version, etc. So go with Pycharm. Okay. The installation process I will take in the next class. So this tool that you see on my screen is a Pycharm. It's where we start writing our script. So let me maximize this screen. There are different color available for this application. I prefer going with the black screen because the font on white would look in a contrast manner. So if you see some other script which was written in the past, you can see the difference. The white font on a black background. But yes, depending upon your requirement, there is option to change all the settings, the color coding of the application. Usually it comes in I think it comes in a white color or something. So I've set something else. Let's say classic light. See, this would be this way. If you go with, let's say, some other option. What is this? This is to a light. Let's say GitHub. Okay, this would give you in this way. So this is a color aspect, because some people will have a issue of looking at the screen for a longer time, because when you start writing script, you will spend a lot of time viewing one small corner area, a piece of screen. So always set a right color coding. It also helps you to find if there is any issue in the script, etc. You can go with a white background as well, but that will distract your eyes if you're working in a night time or for a longer period. Okay, so this is how the scripts are prepared. I'll just go on an overview point of view. So when we start with Python theory, the few things what we start initially would be, what is Python's print function? What do you mean by comment? What do you mean by variables? What do you understand by the input function? What do you mean by open function? Okay. What do you understand by the data types, which includes the topics like what is string, what is number, okay? What do you mean by list? What do you mean by tuples? What do you mean by sets? What do you mean by dictionary? Then we will see all the for loop iterations. We will see the while loop iteration, if else statement, which is also called as conditions. Then we will see a basics on the regex library. What do you mean by library? Once again, I'll just give an overview. What do you understand by functions? Functions, and what do you understand by arguments? These are the first few topics from Saturday onwards. Once you have seen them, once you have seen the basic practice set on each topic, then we start writing up a script. Okay, so we will not start initially with a script of 30, 40, 50 lines. We will start with a very basic script of, let's say, only for one device or something. Okay, so how would I start? I will say that I'm gonna import a module called from NetMiko. Okay, NetMiko has several functions. I need is function called connect handler. Connect handler is one which is responsible for selecting the device template and pushing the job to the base connection where the SSH would trigger. Then in the dictionary pattern, I will define all my device arguments or device data. Okay, in the key value pair. All these terms would look very unfamiliar to you guys now on the first day, because I told you this happens once you finish the theory topic. Okay, these are called key. Whichever I write on the left hand side, it's called key, and on the right hand side we call it as value, and altogether it's a dictionary type. Where does it come? It comes on this topic. So once you have done with theory and basic practice set, you know what is this. Once you know what is module, you know what is this about. Okay, so this way we would go step by step, and after completion of every 2 to 3 classes, expect assignment or a mini project where the task could be given and you would come up with your script writing, and this script writing would be discussed in class, and you would also give the output on a WhatsApp group. If there is any issues or if it's all good, then you will upload it on the on our web portals. Okay. So from time to time, this will be this assessment would be checked, made sure that you guys are on a track. Okay, so it takes total 2 months for the complete course completion. So I hope you know the agenda now, how the class would commence. So any question? Because I'm almost done from my side. So you, if it's good if we keep it as open question and answer now. So guys, any doubt with the flow? Yeah.
Sagar, I got one question. It's regarding like, I know we usually use SSH, but like, if there are any company or someone that is using Telnet, so we will have that one obviously included. Am I right?
It is included. I'll show some.
I did notice there is Telnet module here, 14 years up.
Yeah. So I will be definitely showing that as well. Okay, but not in very depth. But as you told, if Telnet you're still using it up, then yes.
Okay, and then the other question was with regards to multi-vendor, because I have seen in like mostly people are using Junos or Cisco iOS, but if someone is using Aruba OS with switches and stuff, which is like also we will be able to use during the course as well.
I can give you the pointers because Aruba, not sure if most of the people are benefited with it. So when you come with a vendor which is for the rest of audience, 90% audience, they feel that is not gonna help.
Right.
So I'll take it one-to-one point of view. So you and me will be in touch to get into that working.
I mean, at least to get started, like, and then just like practice on Cisco or whatever we have, and then you can replicate the same thing on other vendor.
That is absolutely right. So once we discuss for Cisco, okay, at least the 90% are still getting used for any other vendor. It would be just 5 to 10%.
Basically, no one is providing device-based technology. Everyone provide the standard technology, so we have to do device-based configuration by ourselves.
Yeah. Understood.
Okay. Yeah, but as I told you, to make it like interesting, we have some multi-vendors kept, and throughout the curriculum, you will see me doing it on Cisco iOS and ASA, Arista, Junos, FI, LTM, and PA. Okay, this I consider something very highly used. But again, as I told you, I can give you one-to-one support if it is something apart from this. And yeah, sorry, I didn't mention these as well. So this would be also shown as SDWAN, ACI, but from the Devnet curriculum, fixed amount of topics there. Okay, not that in depth we go in the technology there, because for some people this topic itself is a unknown or unfamiliar.
So just wondering, with regards to SD-WAN, does it Devnet helps anyway when you already have implemented SD-WAN?
Yes, so you can do a API or Python automation to fetch, configure, or report preparations as well.
Cool.
Okay, I have one question. If someone do the dev only, does he needs to learn Python? So do you mean Devnet certification or developer?
Yeah, only Devnet. One of my friend wants to learn. So does he need the Python?
See, if he needs only Devnet, then actually he don't need any of much details on Python or Ansible too.
Okay.
Okay. Because this curriculum is totally very plain curriculum. Okay, might be his expectation is the certification as per from his employer or something.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any hands-on practical. Okay, so that is why we have kept it in one corner, so that at least people who look for certification are also beneficial, and those people who will go with very intensive practical knowledge will also know what actually DevNet is about.
Oh, okay, okay. So basically, this DevNet doesn't cover what he's looking for.
The DevNet doesn't need a very depth of any practical knowledge. It's very basic flow actually. Okay,
All right.
some questions might be asked. Say for instance, a question is asked in the DevNet certification, where you have to figure out what format it is, what data format it is. What is the data format is the below example. And in the below example, they might have given you four answers. You have, if you know the basic on Python, you can say it's answer is A or B or C. So you do not need practical knowledge, but if you know a basic on theory Python, that is also sufficient to manage the DevNet associate.
Okay, all right. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so Alok has one question here. Which company have adopted automation where we can apply for an job change? Okay, so Alok, almost nowadays 60 to 75% of the enterprise company, irrespective of domain, they all have adopted automation, and they might be for migration or vendor migrations or ISP migrations or the L1 L2 knock corners, maintenance window. Either in one or two way, they already are into the automation scope. And to get the job, I think if you're already networking side, then you know that there are websites like LinkedIn, or if you're here in India, you can also go to the Naukri, look for the network automation profile, right? So there's lot of openings available. See, I'll show you just for an example. Okay, so this is my LinkedIn profile. Let's say I am looking for a job hunt. So I'll say network automation job. So if I click on the jobs, so you can just read the expectation. What do they want to do, and what tools they want to use it. So you will hear this keywords lot of time. APIs, Ansible. Okay, they want someone who can review the change plan. They can build and maintain the network deployment. Okay, so let's say if you look for something else out of blue, yeah, Amazon also had a lot of network automation, and they also ask you questions related to Python, because they need someone with hands-on language experience. Okay, so rest, I believe you all are experienced guys. You know how do you search, and but again, if you need help later on for resume preparation or interview questions or interview preparations, okay, or job hunt, so I'll also guide on this, especially from the automation side. So in past also, I have guided a lot of guys, and they have got a good offer from a lot of various ISPs in India. Okay, so this I will take at the end as well. Resume preparation, interview, and job hunt. Where do you search, and etc. Though you might already be knowing this better than me, but again. So that's all. Any other questions?
So Sagar,
SQ
there are 20
Yeah.
modules I saw actually. So I was wondering, so it means there will be 20 lectures
No,
for.
not that way.
Okay.
You can think the lecture from topic point of view. So this one lecture might have 2 to 3 coverage. So that way you need to count it. Okay. So let's say this
Yeah.
is in one lecture. Might be next lecture. This single itself is taking a lot of time. So only 2 labs is shown on that day. Okay, so on. So that way.
Yeah, because I was thinking like it's a 2 months course and like 20, it's gonna be even we probably need more time.
Okay. Okay, so Swaroop says that SQL is required. You don't need it. Okay, you don't need SQL here. We just need Python. When we move to Ansible, then the API knowledge. Okay, but yes, I'll tell you when do you need SQL or any of the database. Let's assume that you started now automating with Python. Okay. After some days, your management says that can you bring a front end execution, front end dashboard. So now you need to know HTML, Flask, Django, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript. Might be in this case, if you want your front end to be in a extreme advanced level, in that case, you might need to have a SQL. But most of the time, the enterprise have the software developer handling this area. So for you as a network automation engineer, you hardly have to go there on the front end side because that's a complete different programming language and needs a different expertise there. Okay, so guys, for all the enrollment related queries, concern, pricing, dates, you can contact us on this contact number. So either me or my backend will help you for all the enrollment process. So let me also put up on the chat. So meanwhile, if you have any further question, please be ready with it. Okay, sorry, I think I sent 1-to-1. Let me put it here. Okay, or you can also take a quick pic of this, screenshot of this, and after the session, you can also contact our backend team. Okay, so we will catch up next Saturday. The session is gonna be locked from next Saturday onwards. We conducted 2 demo. The Saturday and today was Sunday, the second demo. So the recording for last demo was already put 17 hours back. This recording will also be put up on the YouTube channel. Okay, and from next session, you get the recording within your learning portal. We have our own learning portal. You get the access to the course. So whichever course that you have taken up, okay, you've been assigned to that. So let's say you were part of this course, you get the access to that. Let's say if there was another person who is taking up this, so he get access to that. Okay, same goes with automation. So those who are enrolling the automation class, you get the access to that. So all your recording scripts, Google Drive, Devnet notes, API collections, the required tools, they all will be kept inside this codes itself. We maintain a separate Google Drive for all that sharing.
So is it lifetime access for these or?
Yes, it's a lifetime access. Okay, all our self-paced videos and the video that you get it's a lifetime access. The files are downloadable formats. Okay, you get PDF formats or the ready-made home lab in future if you wanna do it. And also one more the good thing about enrollment is you get the 24/7 support on lab assistance or home lab placement over on WebEx or Zoom meeting. Okay, so guys, I'm good. I hope you all are fine. So we are good to wind up the session, correct?
Sure. Just a last one. Are we still managing Slack for the enrolled users?
When I do take the batch, I don't keep the Slack. We are good with WhatsApp. But if we want to move the technical discussion to Slack, we can create a Slack or Discord community. Okay, we are planning to bring Discord henceforth, because Slack, some people do not get the invite and a lot of issue. Discord, whereas, is more stable and better. Okay.
Sure.
All right, guys. So it was a nice interactive session with all. I hope you also felt the same. And thank you for joining. And let's connect in the next session. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Sagar.
Thank you.